This is GARIS Masculist MGTOW flyers, 2 3-page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, read aloud and written by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 186, entitled MGTOW Political Passivity, Masculist Political Activism. Description. This flyer emphasizes the difference between the MGTOWs and their political passivity and the more in-your-face political activism of the Masculists. It gives an example of a speech a masculist would hurl at a hypocritical fluffy feminist who tries to shame language a man into being a manslave to a fluffy parasite. And now for the flyer itself. MGTOW Political Passivity, Masculist Political Activism. Have you noticed that Sandman is happy to only report on the gender status quo? He doesn't spend much time nor energy on means to change the status quo in favour of men. For example, when women shame men to get married and become manslaves to parasitic fluffies, he doesn't say anything about what masculists would do under the same circumstances. Masculists are political and very in-your-face with women. If some fluffy feminist hypocrite starts shaming a man to be a manslave to a fluffy, if that man is a masculist, he would shame her right back with masculist rhetoric. For example, FFH, that's fluffy feminist hypocrite. When are you going to get married? M is the reply. M for man, M for masculist. I have no intention of ever marrying and becoming a manslave to a fluffy parasite. I will twef, that's in brackets, 2A, 2F, equals 2 apartments, 2 FIPs, financially independent persons. To get the regular sex I need, but the woman has to have her own apartment and must be FIP, otherwise I won't go near her. I'm a masculist and have a hatred of fluffy parasites. I see them as immoral, parasitic, manslaving vermin to be wiped out. We masculists' main political goal is to wipe out manslavery worldwide this century. We do that by wiping out the fluffies, not by killing them, but simply ignoring them to death, by letting them rot on the shelf to extinction, so that their fluffy genes are removed from the gene pool. A woman who wants a kid will look around for some manslave to parasite upon, to have him pay for the house that she will raise her kids in. She will have had some 40 different penises in her by the time she's in her 30s, and her biological clock is ticking hard. She sees men as exploitable, and does not have any loyalty to an individual man. If her current man loses his exploitability, she will coldly dump him and look for a more exploitable male. We masculists hate being treated as cash machines by fluffies and fluffy feminists. We have a saying, I'm more than a cash machine, you bitch. If you women don't get off your fluffy parasitic bums, you'll be punished by masculists by simply not having a man. We masculists are political and get on the media preaching masculist ideas to the general public to raise men's consciousness, making men see fluffies for what they are, immoral, parasitic, manslaving vermin, and learn to hate them and then to punish them by not going near them, forcing them to become FIPs or rot on the shelf. We men have the power to do that, since most men are socialized to be FIPs, whereas 3/4 of young women at 16 in high school choose to study fluffy crap, making them fluffies in their 30s who expect to be able to sexploit a man. Well, the supply of manslavable men is drying up fast. In the major countries, for example, the US, Japan, Germany, etc., 70% of young men under 35 refuse to marry, refuse to have kids, and spend their money on themselves, due largely to the hypocrisy of the fluffy feminist takeover of the divorce courts, which financially massacre roughly 1 married father in 4, ruining his life, taking his kids with 90% probability, giving his house to the fluffy ex-wife so she can raise her kids in it, forcing him to pay child support to kids he will barely see, and often pay alimony so that the fluffy ex-wife can remain parasiting off him after the divorce the way she did before the divorce. You see why masculists hate fluffies and aim to wipe them out. We have an even greater hatred of fluffy feminists because they're not only fluffies, but fluffy hypocrites. They want equal rights with men, but reject equal obligations with men. That is, they don't bother to become career competent fips, expecting to be able to parasite off the money of a man. Well, the masculists have news for these fluffy bitches. They will either fip up or they'll be punished by not getting a man. We masculists tell men to avoid fluffies like the plague. They will only parasite off you. They don't love you. They love your exploitability. They are immoral, parasitic, manslaving vermin to be wiped out. New section. That's an example of how masculists change the gender status quo by being political with women and spreading the above ideas to the media and to society at large, so that women learn to be afraid that if they don't fip up, then they will not only not get a man, they will be increasingly spat at by a society that is ever better informed of masculist ideas, and along with the masculists, see fluffies as a type of woman to be wiped out. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com.